Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this talk. We're organizing a series of dialogues with eminent people to help you understand what is conscious leadership. And you see that right behind Anil ji's, in the poster right behind him. That's our major focus. The organization I'm representing is called the Center for Consciousness Studies and Inner Transformation. And we believe that inner transformation happens through the impact of consciousness on the person's mind. The more deeply conscious we become, the more deeply we understand that there isn't a dvandva, there isn't a subject and an object, and that we're all part of one enormous conscious being called Brahman, or whatever word you would like to use. The more deeply we become dharmic in our actions, and therefore leadership becomes something that enables the earth to flourish, enables every individual to grow, and so on. So that's the focus of our work. We're very fortunate to have Anil ji with us. And interesting thing, when I was talking to him some time back, was we discovered how small the world is. Because long back when I was teaching inner work and transformative work in IIM, he and his colleague Rakesh in particular, remembered that he was part of the cohort that we were teaching. And so we had a lot of very interesting discussions about those times and our teachers there and people I'd been working with and so on. So that was great. And he also shares another collegiate relationship. He's also from IIT. He's done his engineering from IIT Delhi and MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. And then he's gone on to do his PhD in Case Western. But I think the most critical part, which is why we have invited him here, is that he has moved from this, integrated this in a sense, with his deep commitment to inner work through the Maharishi International University. And he's written a lot of very interesting papers. One of the things that we'll be discussing around is one of the papers he's written recently, and what came up from that. Yeah, but before we get into that, let me just do a short prayer, and then I'll hand it over to Anil ji. Sahana vavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejasvinavadhitamastu, ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yogena chittasya padena vacham malam sharirasya cha vaidyakena yopakarotam pravaram muninam patanjalim pranjaliranatosmi Abahu Purushakaram Shankhachakrasidharinam Sahasra Shirasam Shvetam Pranamami Patanjalim Srimate Anantaya Nagarajaya Namo Namaha Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Okay, so what we will do today is I'll open up the dialogue with Anil ji, and then maybe after about 30 minutes or so, we'll open the discussion out to all of you. We'll keep the discussion today to an hour, because Anil ji is also not too well today. We don't want to, he's already having a slightly sore throat. We don't want to hassle him too much. Yeah. So let me start with Anil ji by asking you a couple of questions. The first is what I found very fascinating in our discussion was the way in which you have brought together some very fundamental ideas in science, like the quantum theory and some of the basic understandings from our Vedic tradition. Right? And I think this is extremely interesting and important, because I think most of our rishis have come to understand these things through totally inward-looking, intuitive processes, clarifying their minds, and so on through various yogic practices. And modern science seems to converge upon very similar ideas through a whole external journey of studying particles and using a hadron, breaking it up, and all of this, and finally coming almost to the same conclusion. So it's quite fascinating, right? So I'd like you to share how you look at it and enlighten us about the connections.
Okay. So thank you very much, Raghuji and Indika, for inviting me. It says behind me, consciousness-based leadership. I'm at Maharishi International University. We are the home of consciousness-based education, consciousness leadership, consciousness medicine, consciousness-based everything. So Maharishi Maheshwari set it up. So my pranam to Maharishi for setting this up, this place. And we are kind of continuing to grow in the Vedic tradition, the knowledge that has been passed on. And Vedic knowledge is kind of basically just natural. It's just coming like that. The oneness that we didn't talk about, the Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate, Purnasya, Purnamadaya, Purnavivashishate. Means everything is coming from wholeness, and from wholeness comes wholeness. And when wholeness comes out of wholeness, what remains is also wholeness. So this is like a very sustainable way of generating knowledge and getting people enlightened to the oneness, the wholeness. So this is like very much very dear to me. In fact, I've given a talk to a couple thousand teachers in Pune, like in 2018. It was so well received. And only if you have wholeness, then you can pass on wholeness. If part doesn't satisfy, part cannot make somebody else a good part. You have to be wholeness yourself. So that's the first lesson. If you don't, once you have wholeness, you don't have to be so-called passion. This passion is a very Western word. You just naturally are very settled, very confident. If you use again the Western word, you're confident because the wholeness is with you and you are that wholeness. So that is the sort of very much, I would say, Western, our Vedic approach. So when I began to, when I came here, I discussed with a lot of colleagues at Academy of Management, because I'm a professor of management. We would go there and they would say, oh, we're looking at a very interconnected world, more interconnected. I said, what is interconnected? Interconnected assumes there are particles and you're having a more denser network. So that is that approach, right? Particle-based approach. And let's see, what is the densest network? Densest is every particle connects to everyone, right? And so, and Maharishi calls it consciousness the field of infinite correlations. Now, what is infinite correlations? Everything connecting everything. Now, what is the particles that are connecting? That's where the kind of thing comes. So, obviously there are no such thing as particles, but in the visible spectrum, we see ourselves separate, all that stuff. So that whole the interconnectedness happens not because I can speak your language or I understand your things. It's just at a basic level, we are one. And in fact, is it Schrodinger who said, there's only one mind. We are all manifestations of the one mind. So it's all oneness, even coming in there. Now, the other part that fascinated me, and I wrote some blogs on it, quantum theory said that oneness is there. 1929, the Solvay conference happened. All these Nobel Prize winning guys were there. They said, yes, everything is one. Schrodinger, Heisenberg, everybody says all oneness. Yet it's taking like, since what is that? Almost 100 years, 90 years. Now they've given another Nobel Prize this year, 2022, to people to say it's quantum entanglement. Everything is one. You can be here and you can be there, and there's no communication yet. Everybody knows what's what. So why is it not seeping into our way of living? So then I said, well, why is it not seeping in? Then I found it is seeping in. What is a laser beam? Laser beam is a quantum phenomena that everything, the photons drop together and you get the laser effect. So when it comes to scientific objects, we are very okay with quantum thinking that, the discreteness happens. But when you think of everyday life, we do not see that everything can coalesce. We are not like photons who suddenly come back into a phenomenon and become big. Of course, there's been research on hot teams from, Carnegie Mellon, was that Herbert Simon did that. Where hot teams as such, basically they act like one. And then the amount of output is just so prolific, they define the whole field around cognitive field was defined in the 60s at Carnegie Mellon. It was just a oneness effect. And Pradeep Khandwala, who was a professor and director at IIM Ahmedabad, he was one of the members. He was a grad student at that time. So he came and stayed with us for a few days in Case Western, when I was in Case Western doing PhD. So he was describing what a fun time it was. He's very calm about it. But the point is that experience is unmistakable. It's like the moksha experience. Once you have it, you can't undo it. You just feel that thing. Wow, like there is more than just me and my brain and my. There's no me and my. So it's a long-winded answer, but point is that the science has been talking this language, but the common culture, maybe the commercial culture, wants to keep us separate. So there is not only just science and spirituality, but this whole economics and sort of commerce that conspires to do certain things. I don't know. I can go on, but I hope it helps.
No, it leads. No, Anilji, there are 2-3 things. Let me just summarize this and ask you a question. See, when you started with Purnamada Purnamidam, I was wondering, is it a shloka that says one and infinity and zero, or just aspects of the same thing? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if you look at it like that, then maybe we can look at yoga as a movement of an individual who thinks he's a fragment apart from the world. Mm-hmm. To experiencing the wholeness you were speaking about. Mm-hmm. Because as long as I see myself as a fragment and apart from the whole, I can keep on consuming the earth. Mm-hmm. I can consume you. I can keep taking and taking, right? But the moment I realize that I'm not apart from anything, right? And that I'm fundamentally interconnected. Yeah. I'm part of a coherent whole, right? It changes everything.
I would say I am the coherent whole.
How would you relate that to leadership?
I would say I am the coherent whole. I'm not part of the coherent whole. I am the earth.
I'm the coherent
whole. See this thing, it looks, it can look very cheesy to have the earth kind of thing back. But so either you're cheesy because you have no clue, or you feel this thing that Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman. How I manifest maybe this way or that way, how you see me may be different from how I see myself. But can you have that anubhuti, the feeling of being Brahman? Once that feeling comes, that's a moksha kind of experience. Once you have that, and I've had that, I think that just the inner reality changes completely. What we may see on external, maybe the same way. I'm not any taller than that. I'm not probably a little heavier than before, but point is that I still eat and I eat less. So, and the external behavior may not be much. I may get little less angry, but somebody who's looking, hey, this person still gets angry once in you might see once in a year, and they will hold on to it. Point is that it's not the external behavior, but the inner transformation. When you talk inner journey, that at the inner journey, you need to, not you need to be, I think the wholeness comes to you. I don't even know that you can seek wholeness, because as a part, you can't attract the wholeness, right?
Absolutely.
That's where the guru helps. My devotion to Maharishi is so deep. I say, people say, no, Maharishi says this. I says, no, Anil, your devotion is very deep. So I can't see my devotion, but others can see that. That's interesting. That usually people see bad things in you, but this thing, all my colleagues are able to see this devotion. So I think it's one of those things. Your guru shishya is this thing of a guru shishya. You just surrender to the guru. Guru go with dono khade lago pai. So I would say, I just don't even know God, but I think Maharishi sort of helped me understand. So through his devotion to his guru, the total devotion to his guru, he's been an example for me from day one. Instant devotion. Although I learned transcendental meditation in 1982 when I was at IMA, I didn't have that devotion. I was learning it because they were teaching for free, and what's a big deal? Let's learn it, and tried. But when I came here, this wholeness just got to me, and that wholeness got to me, and then within 2 years, less than 2 years, I wrote this book on data analytics, and it's still number one. Coursera still calls it the number one read, and out of thousands of books of data analytics, they select 12 books top, and my number book is still number one. Why is that so? It's written from wholeness. The wholeness gets you. You can get the wholeness in one paragraph. You can get in the first page with the first image, first chapter, first section. Like you can unfold. The wholeness can unfold. Vedas are its own commentary, so you don't need other people to comment on it. So the wholeness is very infectious, if you say, but it's very blissful. And bliss is everything. Satchit Anand. When you have Anand, everything falls off. Then you can pretend I need more money. I do that all the games myself. But point is, at the bottom of it, I'm so blissful that all of that is, we have to play the game. We are manifested and stuff like that. So when you talk of yoga, yoga is that you connected with yourself, your self-reference. Again, it sounds cheesy if you're not into it, because when I came to this campus, which was an interesting thing, the guy I was meeting is a PhD from Stanford, and I was impressed that the guy is working at this university. So his home address was something Heavenly Lane. And I was driving from Chicago. I said, only two possibilities. Either they are profound, they're totally cheesy people, right? Can't be one or the other. How can you have a street called Heavenly Lane? And of course, it was the very profound people. So the point is that, this is yoga is an experiential thing. You can talk all day about yoga as pure entertainment. I remember when I went to Vipassana many times, 6 times I went to 10-day courses with Vipassana. Goenka ji will say, listening to me is all pure entertainment. Tap to aapko hi karna padega. Tapas to aapka hi kaam hai. I can point the way, but you have to do it. So I think that whole mumuksha comes somehow, you want to do it, and it's like turning on the switch. How much effort does it take to turn on the switch? You can feel the yogi instantly, like you're a yogi. You can feel like a yogi, or you can work like forever. I can tell stories about a friend of mine. I was just giving an example who taught how to write very precisely. His name is Ram, very dear friend. I won't tell his last name, very dear friend. So I told him I had this moksha experience. No, not possible. So, why? I'm telling you a personal experience. No, not possible. So I said, well, I can tell you like 600 studies we have done here, published and all the stuff. The scientific evidence of moksha. No, not possible. So I said, now I can't convince you. I've given you personal experience, you scientific. What do you say you want? Then after a few minutes, he said, you know what? My mom tried for 40 years. She couldn't get it. So nobody can get it. Oh, so that I understood. So lived experience of his is very different from what my lived experience could be.
Absolutely.
So while he understands, he's one of the most published young men. Before he finished his PhD at Case Western, he had 16 papers. In his reference, in his recommendation, people said he has more papers than some faculty have in their own lifetime. So very accomplished at that level, but very much having this sort of expectation that moksha is very hard. So yoga is, to me, and again, I'm just giving my experience, because that yoga can come very easily. And I've been giving talks in moksha when I go to India, like, my mom's friends, they will say, very good, very good. So what is the sign of being a moksha or yogi? I said first, oh, Rakesh is coming. So that's great.
Hi, Rakesh.
First thing is that you shouldn't fall less anger, less attachment. I think that should show more. So that to me is yoga. You guys, you're connected with yourself. You are the one that you're looking for, not
Oh,
somebody else.
yes. That's an interesting thing. Yeah. There are lots of beautiful stories no? In Zen and Sufi about this person who goes to a guru and the guru says, what are you looking for? So he says, okay, when you find the person who's wearing a turban in a certain way, his shirt has a turban, and you listen to him, you'll find the truth. So this guy goes off searching all over the world. He doesn't find anything, comes back and sees this person with a turban and comes up to him to talk to him. And it's the same old guy. He says, why didn't you tell me before? I said, I'm the same guy with the same turban, but you couldn't see me. You had to go rushing all over the world because your orientation was to search in the wrong place.
Right.
Yeah,
And that's where the
interesting thing you're bringing up, Anil. I don't know. I hope I'm not reading between the lines, but you're actually saying mukti is first, and dharma and artha and kama are built on this mukti experience. Would I be right in saying that?
For me, I was always confused about what dharma is, but till I came to this place, because I was always a Gandhi and I used to wear khadi to work also. I used to work for a big company and go to sales calls to corporate offices wearing khadi. Anyway, but I think this came here, this whole dharma became very real to me, and I just started being very creative. I'm just like as if the dam broke, and I was just writing everything that came to me. My data analytics book, which I refer to, was written in 30 days. People were amazed.
Wow.
My colleague said, he showed me his book. Said, do you know how long it took me to write? I said, how much? 30 years. You wrote in 30 days. So, some people take a lifetime to write a book. So I think this, once that something bug is the bug is there, why am I here? Then and catches you. I'm one data point. So I cannot say if this is the path. So, again, I can only share my experience, but
which is very interesting. So would you say that you're tapping into a certain level of coherence, and then you just become a vehicle for the expression of that coherence?
I would just remove the word certain level. I'm tapping into unbounded, infinite coherence called pure consciousness. I'm tapping into Brahman. And Brahman comes to me whenever it wants to come. Whenever I feel the need, I'm somewhere, it comes. I'll tell you this conference that we did here, I think I shared with you. And it was 8 months into preparation and 95 speakers and many Padma Bhushans and almost people who are Nobel Prize level people, 1,200 attendees of 400 cities around the world. By the way, people into consciousness are distributed very thinly around the world. There are many people in our tribe, but they're not located like in Singapore or this or that. It's like one-off sprinkled everywhere like salt. Anyway, we did that. And after this session happened and all the stuff, people said, oh, Anil, you're tired. We'll catch up with you a week later. I said, okay. Second person, I said, okay. Third person, oh, you must be tired. I said, what tired? I'm more energized than before.
Absolutely, I understand that. Yeah.
It was like blissful to me. As I said, when I said, people said you're blissful, overshadowed the whole thing. I was just, I was very, you can call it driven, mission oriented. All those are words, they fall off. I was one with the whole event. We call it one touch bliss, as you can see behind. And my mission was that we must bring bliss to anyone who attends the event. I would say for even this one, if somebody is signing in, if they don't feel the bliss, forget about it. This is like not a good use of your time. And what I thought was, we have big golden domes. Hey, Rakesh,
Hi.
So we had big golden domes, and we said, well, domes are a great vehicle for meditating and tapping into collective consciousness and the currents. So I would have ideally wanted to bring them all to Fairfield. But I said, I can't bring them domes, so let me bring the dome to them. So even during the conference, I found maximum amount of time between the breaks to go to the dome, meditate, and come back, bring the bliss over. I was being that vehicle. How did that inspiration come? I did it because it just came to me.
Brilliant.
I found all the volunteers who would help in any which way. So it just happens. I think these things happen when they have to happen. So when you talk a certain level of coherence, I think it's unbounded coherence is in there. I think it's like a thing of Damru chart. Okay, the Damru chart, or you can say the hourglass. On one side is infinite amount of sand. infinite amount of bliss. You just have to unknot that bottleneck. Let it flow. फिर क्या होगा? Who knows? And who cares? You are in bliss. Whoever is with you will get blessed, whether they want it or they don't want it. Sorry, there will be flood.
Brilliant. Yeah. Maybe the bhakti you talked about and the devotion to your teacher you talked about was just trusting that, this block, this bottleneck is actually me. And if I give it up, it'll just flow. Yeah.
Oh, you know that, Raghu, from being from IIT, IMA had so many chips on my shoulder and being my
Right.
topper at IMA.
Yeah.
If you have arrived and all that stuff, you become close to everything.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. One of the teachers I was talking to told me this once. He said, look, people like you who are intelligent and who've studied a lot and all that are the most difficult people to deal with because you'll ask so many questions. The other people who come to me are so simple, they get it. You guys don't get it.
Yeah, very true. Very true. We ask questions which are so academic. There's
That's
a story
right.
from Buddha, which says somebody kept on pestering with a question, and Buddha would keep avoiding. And then finally, he just got very angry that asker. Every meeting he will go and sort of follow with that same question. The Buddha said, "Okay, let me ask you: would this question help you make you more blissful today or not?" I said, "No. I'm just asking what will happen after death and all. वो तब की तब देखेंगे ना." He said, "Why are you asking this question?" Said, there's a judgment on quality of question that you answer also. So that has stayed with me. As a teacher, sometimes I say, okay, we'll defer to it. I don't say no to it, but because the question is so irrelevant and it'll fall off their consciousness also. If it stays with them, there's a real question, we'll address that.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Most of our Upanishads start like that, no? So somebody comes and asks the Guru that question.
Yeah.
The Guru says, meditate in my ashram for the next couple of years or 4 years or 5 years, as the case may be. And then let's really inquire into this, right? And I think that's something that's very critical these days. Now, people ask a question and they're hoping that an immediate intellectual answer would do, right? Maybe the process is very critical. Maybe they need to find the path and walk on the path, and they'll find the answers themselves.
And path is obviously very Taoist thing. Path is path is the destination kind of thing. Being on the path is itself. Now that path means there's no better metaphor, so we call it path. Basically, constant sort of evolution, not even journey, evolution journey. So it is. I think it's a what did we want to say? Anyway, it's a journey. You just keep doing and just come naturally, surrender and just be on. I think that's what it is. Follow your bliss, follow your intuition, and don't hold on to too many expectations. And I don't know, we can go on this Western mumbo jumbo. Maharishi said, Western psychology is a waste of time. It's foundationless. And I told that to psychologists, and she looked at me like,
I agree.
What to ask after that?
I agree with you because I've been working on Yoga Sutras and its relationship to psychology, and they're so different. Yeah, one is such a beautiful inward journey. While it does refer to and talk about the psyche, calling it psychology with a Western frame is not doing it justice.
So, it's interesting that Maharishi talks about it in English all the time, and I heard him for years and years. But there was a Hindi tape of his, Hindi tapes he gave in India, which was also like we had 30,000 hours worth of Maharishi tapes in our libraries and all that stuff. So a few years ago, a friend of ours who runs a tape library on campus, he said, Anil, there are the Hindi tapes. Could you just make the main points of what Maharishi is saying? And I said, okay. So I listened to that, but I looked at him again. When Maharishi talks in Hindi, it's very different feeling. So I think language is also impact. When with him, he has a certain style, he'll have a flower, he'll all that stuff. When he's in Hindi, he'll touch his mind also. He says, ये सब मन है ना, मन बैठ जाएगा, becomes an Atman. And once I heard man, Batna and Atman.
Beautiful.
To me, all of the knowledge falls off. Man, there's one word in Hindi or whatever, man. Man is that, we can call it mind, you can call feelings, thoughts, everything is in man. But man, when it sort of, Batna, he uses the word Batna, he's so tender. Batna can mean sit down, settle down, vanish, whatever. When the man settles down like a wave settles in the ocean, then it becomes Atman. Ah is the sound of infinity. The man becomes Atman. So to become the infinity, it just will settle down the mind. That's what Yoga Sutra says, very first shloka, right?
That's right.
Settling of the so man becomes Atman like that, turning on the switch. And Rakesh is a chota manshi.
I think we should take advantage of Rakesh being here, because you
Yeah.
referred to him as these. Rakesh, you have been called the case study, Rakesh.
Thank you, Raghu. Thank you.
So can you just quickly share with us your experience and how, as a leader, you have applied this, the switch on that Anil has been referring to, and what it did to you? Because I think the world is really in need of people who are in leadership positions who can open themselves out to this flow. Yeah.
Thank you. Refer to what Anil has been talking about for some time, that man is what differentiate between the self and others. And you stop differentiating others from yourself. And that is the status of your mind when you start thinking of everyone, integrate yoga, then you enjoy the life of bliss and happiness. That is the state of your mind, and you try to lead an organization. When you try to lead an organization, your decision benefit of just for yourself. It is the simple thinking. Ma na means do not think of self, think of others. And as soon as you start thinking of activities that is beneficial for others, you find others comes to your support, to your encouraging things, what's happening. And suddenly the resistance turns into the whole helpful behavior that comes from your employees, comes from your customers, comes from your auditors, comes from your every whole system of your organization. And the problems which were seen earlier as a problems becomes the opportunity to handle. It becomes such a wonderful thing. How do I handle so many opportunities and benefits? The whole problem turns upside down.
Yeah.
So the construct is ma na. Ma means what you understand. Na means that you do not understand. And what is do not understand? The others and the rest. So the whole world that you do not understand, partially understand, then do not understand. So the seeds are fully understood, partially understood, and not understood. What you completely understand is called self or Veda, Purna Gyan. What you partially understand is others in your surrounding context. And what you do not understand is the rest, which is the beyond your mind. And transcendence is nothing but going beyond your mind. Do the things for the others. Do the thing for the rest. And as soon as your thinking process goes towards that, the whole of that comes to your support system. And then life becomes so easy and blissful.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot, Rakesh ji.
And I think,
shall we open it out to questions?
Can I add one comment to what Rakesh said? It is very authentic. What he's talking about, that you generally think about it. You're not making believe or doing PR. You genuinely become like that, and then it shows to us.
And Rakesh ji has done it in his business. I mean, he's not talking theory; he's talking his practice, right?
Yeah.
Which is very beautiful. Yeah. Shall we open it out to some questions now?
You can go on mute. Your voice is breaking. I think Rakesh.
Yeah, Rakesh's voice is breaking.
Okay. Do you want to read the question or should I read the question?
There are two questions,
Right.
and you seem to have answered. You seem to have answered it already, Anilji.
Okay. Who's the
Who's the
tapping?
I who's tapping into the Brahman? And Gaurav says he's got it answered. That's great.
I think that this whole idea of otherness, I was just thinking in all my thinking, Rakesh, and I just was strategizing is a little bit of how, we just talk off and on. How do I integrate this notion of other into my thinking itself? Because the other has a sort of very that whole separateness and bring in other. I think we talk of others, the notion of otherness is to dissolve. There is no such thing as a other sort of, if you hold other as a fixed object and you as fixed object and try to do a dialectic, then it's very difficult. But if the otherness dissolves, then at some point you seep into everything, everything seeps into you. It's like the water, right? The green water coming here, the blue water come here, they merge into one. It's hard to tell where is one and where is the other. And that the flow part is very, very important. You just flow. Bliss just flows. Bliss is not something sort of tough. I mean, Atma, for example, like I should say, Atma kya hai jo tu? So it's not a thing. Atma is not a thing. Atma is not a thing. Atma is a quality of being that oceanness. And once you have...
Yeah. Because one of the analogies that's given often is that each of us is like a pot, and what makes us a pot is what is empty within. If you get caught with the substance that makes the pot, you've missed the whole point.
Right.
Yeah.
And the pot analogy runs in another way also. Maharshi uses very much that we are all reflection of the same sun. The more clear we are in terms of our water or our energies, the more brilliantly we reflect the sun.
That's right.
And another thing is when the pot breaks, then all the drops of water that fallen reflect and the sun is reflected everywhere. So actually what you just said is the whole the space within, which is confined within the pot structure, when that structure breaks, you are everywhere. You are everything.
That's right.
And it's again, Gaurav and others who are listening, it sounds so cheesy, but you have to trust our rishis were onto something. They knew something. When they say, I'm there, I'm recognizing. It's not like they're being pretending. One rishi could pretend, second rishi could pretend, third rishi to pretend. कितने rishis हुए हैं? सब लोग ऐसे इतनी ज्ञान अगर उनको आया है. So that process is there. Now, some people call Akashic records. There is a database in the Akasha from which you tap in. This is all because we're so, and I'm an IIT like you are and others might be, we all are preoccupied with the notion of mechanics, how it happens. Hey, quantum mechanics, you cannot find mechanics with the quantum phenomena. So you don't call it quantum mechanics anymore. You call it quantum phenomena, quantum field theory, because two things are entangled with no communication and infinite distance between. So those are mechanical thinking is, I think, it's kind of getting in the way. It has its own value, I'm sure. Everything has its value. I think just be who you are. Basically, you are bliss incarnate, period. Some know it, some don't know it. That's what I think. Some are aware that I'm from, some feel, I can't be. Like I told you about my friend.
That's right.
Can't be.
That's right. He is, but he doesn't know. He refuses.
He is, but he doesn't know. Right? And I was saying, Rakesh, why can't Rakesh has shared his thing with so many people. Rakesh, tell about how you've been blogging. His whole mission, right, to get this yogic Vedic knowledge to everybody. And he sort of talks, he's open, available to everybody. But खोपड़ी में नहीं आती है ना, because as you said, Raghu, ki itne sare questions or structures andar hai, you feel like, man, why should I let go of these structures? They have served me well in this way. But then that's where, this Western thinking says, what got you here will not get you there.
Not get you there.
Do you want to get there? In which case, drop the gada and let the water flow. Thoda sa risk lagta hai, but you know what? When you're convinced about it, it doesn't feel risky because staying in that current thing feels more risky.
Yeah. Are there any questions that people
Anil?
have? Or
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll just like to add one explanation, which is very easy to grasp, but we miss it. You use the word man. Ma is the silent.
Rakesh ji, we are losing you because your voice is breaking up.
Little bit action of the mind. Action of the mind. And the third part.
No, Anil ji, I don't think.
He's breaking up. So that's fine. So yeah, we can talk about. So I'll describe the case study we have the Rakesh we did. What we just framed it around this idea of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. What he was just describing, that, you start with loving your employees, you love their families, and you love their other people around them, the customers, the suppliers, the trade unions, and he set up a company. His company was set in Kerala where, strikes, or so many 100 strike days a year. But he was able to get the thing. The opportunity idea that he was talking about, auditors, right? Auditors is something like you keep at a distance. But he said, I put in my best people to work with auditors because we thought of auditors as guys who are pointing out mistakes so we can learn from those mistakes and then we can become better. So if you go with that perspective, it's a mental switch. It's a mental switch. You look at them as enemies to beat down or somebody who's putting an effort to tell me how to get better. So you have to want to get better. Again, it goes back to you.
That's right.
You want to get better or you're happy with what you've got. So that's
extract, no? Yeah. Are there any questions from the audience? Because we only got Gaurav asking something.
Maybe put everybody to sleep.
Or you got them into bliss, Anilji. So
total bliss.
Blissed out, they don't have a question.
इससे क्या पूछें अब तो कोरा सा bliss कोई differentiation नहीं है. I mean differentiation की क्या जरूरत है? I mean differentiation is all naturally there because there is a certain physical aspect that sometimes overwhelms. Maharishi talks about when आत्मा छिप जाती है. See, आत्मा मरती नहीं है किसी की, नहीं हमें क्या आत्मा मर नहीं सकती है, पर आत्मा छिप जाती है. सबके अंदर आत्मा छिपी हुई है. So another thing I'll say, I'm doing a course on total knowledge from Maharishi's knowledge being taught by somebody who was one of his key chela. He's saying Maharshi distills all of this Vedic knowledge to 3 sounds: A, E, and U. A is the flow of infinity. When we feel like infinity, like means like that infinity is flowing. I'm connecting with infinity.
Yeah.
E is the sound of flow. So E is the thing of when it goes into the raw kind of thing, which is sort of in motion, when consciousness flows and manifests from the infinite value to a more dynamic value. U is the hiding value. When that thing, something gets hidden and it's manifested as something else. So I think the hiding value is so high in most of us that we don't use Imagine somebody says every little thing that that person will be automatically blissful. एक दिन आप ऐसा कोशिश करिए. I think I'm just inventing and cognizing the technique and that. एक दिन हर चीज आप जरा सा भी अच्छा लगे करिए. I think उस रात को आप सोएंगे मेरे को क्या हो गया है. I'm feeling like a blissful child. Because that value up, and again, Maharishi says, and whatever we pay attention to grows in our consciousness. If we do a lot of ahs, not the e's and ooh, ooh is like one of the I'm like, So is the big thing.
Beautiful. Is also in Tamil and Sanskrit, it's the sound of Vishnu, no? Refers to Vishnu.
Yeah, refers to Vishnu.
The original origination. Refers to Vishnu. This is strange. Usually there are lots of questions that come out. Now having to ask, questions once, questions twice, questions thrice.
Well, we can ask ourselves endless questions. Right? I'll tell you the most important question I learned about this whole thing from Ramana Maharshi. Ramana Maharshi, right? People would go, and he's one of the really truly enlightened souls, and not very far long ago, right? He was asked always, right? He would always say, ask the question, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? And kuch bhi pucho, was bolo aap, who am I? Like that's 1 month for him. So let's one Westerner guy, I'm looking at from his like dialogues published. One guy kept on pestering him. Maharshi, you keep telling, Ramana Maharshi, you keep telling, who am I? Who am I? Iska jawab kya hai? What is the jawab? There must be correct answer, right? When you ask a question in a book, there must be some correct answer. Tu answer nahi batate. So finally, Ramana Maharshi says, the purpose of this question is not to get the answer. The purpose is to dissolve the questioner.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Maybe that's what we have achieved.
So सब लोग dissolve हो गए. जल्दी सो गए होंगे सिंगापुर में तो सब लोग जल्दी सो गए होंगे. So this is the thing. I think this life is bliss.
There is one question, Anilji.
Yeah.
We know that practicing PYS is blissful. What are the benefits of chanting PYS? Do you understand?
What is PYS?
Can you, Deepak ji?
Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Oh, Patanjali Yoga Sutra.
Oh,
okay.
Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Okay. Patanjali Yoga Sutra. There are so many practices that are given. Actually, Anil ji and I were talking about this. Maybe you should speak about your idea of leadership and the relationship between Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, the Sthita Prajna idea and so on. Because that is the benefit, right? Ultimate benefit.
I think it's talking about chanting. I don't know about chanting, what the benefit is. Knowledge, of course.
You usually don't chant Yoga Sutra for benefits.
Right.
Anilji, the chanting for benefits is specific, like Namakam, Chamakam, Rudra Prashna, and all that. Those are for benefits.
Right.
And the Prayojakam and so on is given in the shloka itself. Like when you chant Gayatri, tells you what it's for and so on. The Yoga Sutra is Anushasana Sutra. Anushasana Sutra means it enunciates a set of practices, and these practices have benefits. But just the chanting by itself is not the benefit agency. I think the same is true of the Bhagavad Gita also. Just chanting it does not give you the benefits, because like Rudra Prashna, most people will know Rudra or Gayatri. The sounds and the syllables are also placed in a certain way that it has a whole rhythm of its own, and that creates vibrations in the body and awakens certain energies and pranic flow. So when you really sit and chant the Rudram, for example, what it does to you, the kind of vibration it brings up. For me, if I chant the Yoga Sutra, I start reflecting on the Yoga Sutra more than just listening to the sound. Whereas when I'm chanting Gayatri or when I'm chanting Rudra Prashna, for example, I'm just listening to the sound, and there's a whole difference between these two.
Very good, very good. Let me try to expand the question from Deepak. Let me connect, since we're talking leadership, right? And let me connect leadership with Ashtanga Yoga. So I've written a paper on Yoga Sutra and quantum leadership. So in which what I'm saying is, look at Ashtanga Yoga is eight limbs, right? Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyaya, Dhyan, Dharana, Samadhi. And Maharshi said, these are like 8 limbs, right? It's Ashtanga. It's not 8 steps. That's a big confusion people have to do one after another. No, they're like 8 legs of the table. You can pull the table by any leg, and you can pull the whole table. So if these are more techniques for doing yoga, becoming oneness, you can try any of these. Now, my interesting thought was, well, look at the big leaders that we've had. Mahatma Gandhi, Maharshi, and I go with Ramdev also. I'm a big fan of his. So let's see, how did they use yoga, right? What did Gandhi use? Gandhi talked obviously from he used more yama and niyam, right? yama. He was saying satya, hinsa, parigraha, brahmacharya, shauch, all those things. And he was talking Ishwar Paridhana. He was talking about things around yama and niyam. Because at that time, the purpose, the need was to raise the consciousness of the masses so they could be owners of their own consciousness and, rise to a level where it was impossible for 500,000 British people to control 300 million awakened people. So he uses yam and niyam, right? He used those legs to pull the whole society like that. Maharshi came, and Gandhi died around 1950, 1948, 47, 48 January. So then Maharshi came around that time, and he found resonance in the US. There it was a lot of anxiety, rich people, but anxious about nuclear war, this and that. And he used what? The Antarang Yoga, Dhyan, Dharana, Samadhi. He's known for meditation. We have Maharshi, everything else, but he's known for transcendental meditation. He used the Dharana and Samadhi, the Dhyan and Samadhi, and he liberated the whole world. And sort of for the American thing, and the tens of millions of people now who sort of practice meditation, and he used those angas and some traditional advanced techniques to create siddhas, which help create collective coherence and create peace and all that stuff. So he used those angas of the 6th, 7th, 8th anga of Yoga Sutra to create that oneness within for every individual, and of course collective consciousness. What's Ramdev doing? What is Ramdev known for? Pranayama and asana. Of course, right? He does Ayurveda and other stuff, but that's what he started. He started with the badiya. Chalo pranayam karo, chalo ye karo, pet ko push karo andar, and asana karo, as a yogic jogging karo. So he used the limbs 3 and 4 and created health for Indians who were sort of reeling from eating junk food or craving Western food. He created all the Indian stuff, cheaper, better, fresher, and and then basically through that he healed people's thing. So at that point, it was needed to create health and sort of settle mind. So that he used the limbs 3 and 4. So see, Yoga Sutra has been used in different ways by different people, big leaders, to create that oneness. And it doesn't mean that others can't do it. I'm sure others are doing it. They have taken just 3 big exemplars, and you could have just to use meditation to create a oneness in your own group, or you might just to write yoga asana, like let's say you're teaching yoga. Maybe
and
certain Rakesh
has used Maitri. Friendliness
Maitri,
with all the people around. No? That's also from the
Maitri, Maitri, the advanced technique, Maitri. So you can use these scriptures in ways that I think the scriptures will speak to you when you're open to them.
That's right. That's right.
Let's see if there's another question. How to manage a team by way of Vedic principles? I think that's what Rakesh was talking about.
That's right.
So you don't manage a team as well as you become one with the team. You can still be the boss, but you think of them. And I think they will think of you. That's what Rakesh was saying.
Anil, there's a very beautiful idea in the Tamil tradition, which uses the word Thorilali in Thorilali. Yeah. Thoril means work. So Thorilali means a worker or a craftsperson or somebody who's, So a leader is supposed to be the workman for the workman. So I thought that what Rakesh was talking about was really something like that. Now he was talking about how do I serve all the people who are actually doing so much of the work, right? Every person he talked about was actually somebody whom he was serving, rather than looking at it as him bossing over or, being right? He just turned around the idea of leadership.
And that's also called servant leadership, right? Robert Greenleaf wrote in 1977. It is a similar idea that you are sort of turn the pyramid down. You are the peak of the pyramid, but then you're the bottom of the pyramid serving all the people above.
That's right.
You enable, encourage, there are ways in which you can be effective. So the answer is that what you can give, what can you give others that they don't have? I think, so I've written a paper on higher consciousness management, which is exactly to this point. that you be higher consciousness yourself. You display wider awareness of everything around and caring for everything. And then in that circle, people will feel some difference. They will raise their own consciousness.
That's right.
Work will become little bit better. And when they raise the consciousness, the interaction of higher frequency wavelength waves will create even more coherence, and then it'll spread. It'll become infectious. So you can seed the process of higher coherence by being higher coherence yourself. I mean, again, I didn't plan this, but it all starts with you. Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the peace you want to see in the world. Be the bliss you want to see in the world. So I think it just starts with you. Can you model the thing yourself?
Yeah. And the Yoga Sutra also speaks about these as bhumis. Yeah. That you go into a deeper bhumi, more subtle vibration, and you impact, your energy becomes much more impactful. And it's almost like you create a field around yourself, which is
that's the thing.
similar to what
We are the field. We are the field, because when you say we create the field, we are the field creating the field.
Absolutely.
We are the field. We are the infinite bliss.
We limit it with the
That's
size of the pot that we're sitting in.
No,
and
last
if we
night
make the pot thinner and thinner, it will just
think about it. Last night I was driving. It thought, what is me? My physical existence is not the body alone, but there's a car around me.
That's right.
From the outside, I look like much bigger because I'm in a big car, right? Same way, me, the mind is not contained in this little box called the head, but it's the aura, you can call it, or the radiance around it. And the bigger the mind, bigger will it be kind of manifestation value or resonance value.
Exactly.
It's like the bigger the power of your FM station, radio station, the more people will be able to see it.
Anilji, I think we should stop with this, Anilji. I think we are.
Yeah, I just want to tell somebody that the gentleman who's asking about chanting. So I just don't think I have any particular answer to how to chant Gayatri mantra or any other mantra. You just chant low and slow. That's what the natural tradition is. But learn from a guru. Without guru, you don't get it. Otherwise, it'll just become like, it'll be like ghaspoos otherwise. But when somebody shows you what it is, because it's just you who's transforming yourself. So only guru can wake you up to that inner power, which will help you transform yourself. So the DIY kind of somewhat stops here.
Yeah. Somebody shows you the way and then you do it for yourself.
You do it for yourself. And yeah. Anyway, so thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
I must thank you, Anilji. I think I enjoyed myself. I had a lot of fun. And I'm hoping all our audience also had fun listening to you. And thanks a lot, in spite of not being 100% well, to come and share your thoughts with us. I think it was very interesting. And please thank Rakesh from us. Yeah, even though he was on the train, he could come, and it was very nice.
We tried, it worked, for the most part.
Yeah, he could share the key parts, right? So that's very nice. It's very nice.
The first story we hear when we learn English is the story of the thirsty crow. Jahan chah wahan raha.
That's true. That's true.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you,
we'll
everybody.
take this forward in some other ways. Right now, we
wish you a total blissful day, blissful holidays, blissful New Year.
Oh, yes. All of that is just around the corner. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. And a blissful next year for all of us.
Let's end with Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva, Maheshwari. Guru Sakshat from Brahma.
Yeah.
That's my Shri Guru Venava. And we can do Purnamada. Why don't you end with Purnamada? That's from the ultimate.
I'll just chant that and then we'll finish. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu.
Thank you, and
Thank you. Dhanyavada.
Dhanyawada. Vanakkam.